Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is up, folks? Happy Thursday to you. It is January the 16th. JTW here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. And I believe I've remembered to start all the streams today. YouTube, you guys should be good to go. Please, somebody, I know we've got at least a couple folks in the audience now. Somebody give me a mic check. Make sure you see my screen. Make sure you hear me. So I don't wind up doing the same bonehead thing I did on Tuesday, which again, I do apologize for. Let me get over to the chat area of the Xtrades Discord. We see we got Ryan in the mix. What's up, Ryan? How are you this morning? I'm sure we'll have other folks joining us here before too long. We did just fire up Navy Plum in the house. What's up, Navy Plum? Hope you're doing well. So let's get this thing going. Again, excellent connection. Says I'm live. I have done my job this morning with getting this YouTube stream started. So again, if for the couple of viewers who have already joined, I know most folks don't start filtering in for a few more minutes. Whoever is in the audience now, if you could just confirm, make sure I haven't done anything dumb again this morning, and I have actually started my stream on YouTube, I would very much appreciate it. Oh, okay, awesome, Ryan. Well, welcome aboard. What's up, Alex? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Crypto market, it has bull run vibes. Yeah, definitely. I think crypto is gonna make good moves. We were just talking about that a little bit in the Xtrades Discord about how miners kind of do and do not move alongside of Bitcoin, and what I said there, just to kind of, since you brought it up, share that sentiment for those who haven't read it yet or don't have access if you're watching on YouTube. It seems to me like there's always, and this may be a bit anecdotal, but it's, yeah, XRP I think is looking really good. But what I was getting ready to say with regards to crypto miners, which tends to suit the stock and options side of things a little bit better, is it seems to me like there's always one crypto kind of darling, is what I termed it, at least in the chat, where one of those miners seems to move far better and hold up better than all of the others whenever crypto goes on a big run. So the last one, at least, kind of one that comes to mind because I was holding a lot of Riot shares at the time, was Riot. They were like up in the 70s or something like that when that finally topped out. And so, it has since pulled back and hasn't seen anywhere close to that since then. So it's been kind of interesting, whereas like HUT right now seems like it's moving way more than it ever did before. So it seems like, there's a gravitation toward like, okay, if we're going to throw our weight behind one of these crypto miners, it's just going to be one. Like, we're not going to spread it around too much. So yeah, it's been interesting to watch for sure. Crypto is always a fascinating new market to discuss because of, it's kind of a really interesting litmus test, and in a way it kind of like revisits, some of like what did the world go through when they tried to adopt the first forms of currency, right? At that point, nobody believed, I mean, unless it was a piece of gold that you were passing back and forth, which obviously had inherent value. Once you started getting into printed money, how did you get people to believe it? And if you'll recall, there was, back during the Civil War, there was like Confederate dollars and federal U.S. dollars. And, once the North won the war, those federal or those Confederate dollars wound up being essentially worthless. So crypto is kind of the same thing, right? It's just all currency, including crypto, in my opinion, is just a system of belief and what kind of value are we willing to assign to it. People have been buying into crypto, right? So regardless of what, I think governments may like or not like about cryptocurrency, in my opinion, it's probably here to stay. And, a lot of people would say it's not real money. It's a lot more volatile than real money, but I mean, what makes the US dollar real, right? It's not backed by anything anymore. So anyway, a little bit of a deviation from our typical topic, but Alex over on the YouTube side of things brought that up this morning, so I thought I would just chat about that for a minute. So let's get into our charts now that we've got some audience built up here, and I'm glad I've got all my streams running this morning. Again, thanks for your understanding, those on YouTube who only caught like the last 10 minutes of the stream, because I just had a massive brain fart Tuesday morning, essentially. So let's talk about things on ES here. What are we seeing? Great move after those inflation numbers that came out yesterday morning. There is now, once again, talk of Fed rate cuts. Possibly it's like they're not going to cut, they are going to cut. You know, the one thing, I think the market can digest bad news and move on. Obviously, it will celebrate good news, but I think the one thing that the market really struggles with is uncertainty, right? And so there's been a lot of uncertainty, I think, about what the path for these rate cuts looks like. I wouldn't get too hung up on that, though. Don't let that be kind of the primary thing that you're waiting to be settled, because it's going to constantly be in flux, in my opinion, at least for the next couple of years. So just, you know, one thing I've said in the chats, I say it all the time. I've said it for I don't know how many years now. You know, charts will generally precede the news or any kind of catalyst. You'll have known or seen the opportunity on the chart several days or even possibly weeks before a catalyst comes into effect and causes essentially what was a good plan to start with to just play out a lot faster, right? And if you're talking about options, the speed by which your trades come to fruition and your price targets start hitting actually has a pretty significant effect on the premiums on your contracts, because that also tends to spike IV, which kind of additionally juices your contracts on top of the move that's being made in your favor. So again, a lot of things to consider when you're talking about options and how rapidly those moves get made. But let's talk about this a little bit from just pure technical standpoint here on ES. Again, we got this great move, nice bullish move to the upside. We had some areas of concern once we broke over 59.16, although we were looking for that 59.16 to break, and over that, I said, you know, we're probably going to see a pretty big move, because we would have finally flipped this bearish selling pressure back to buying pressure, and buyers continuing to step in and move that key buying pressure area higher and higher. We've also cleared over both these SMAs here on the hourly chart. I wouldn't be surprised to see us come back and take a back test of this 59.67 25 333 SMA confluence. We didn't really get any good tests of these on the way up. So generally when that happens, what I tend to see, and again, this is maybe a little bit anecdotal, is you know, a pullback. If we don't test on the way up, we tend to come back and test before we push higher, right? So it's kind of like a rally-based rally type move, right? And so again, 333 SMA, and I like that as a dip buy opportunity, because then we also have another combination and even more buying pressure from a Neptune perspective down there at 59.4450 with the 200 SMA. So you kind of have two confluence right here. So you could use this as a potential dip buy entry. This would be your backstop. Could even give it a little bit further down to 59.32. But below that, I would say, you know, this probably starts to look a lot more bearish and less likely to recover. So again, probably some really good dip buy opportunities there. It does look like we're trying to clear out over this downward trend, which looks like it's already been invalidated on smaller time frames, but it's a daily downtrend. So again, until this daily candle closes above, and we seem to be struggling with it a little bit, but if we look at this on smaller time frames, it does appear to be trying to break over and back test and flip that to support. What's up, Chris? Good morning to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Are we clear on the ES? Yeah. So we've cleared a lot of those levels. Yes, absolutely, new trader. And now we're testing kind of this, or not kind of, we are testing this downward trend line. And again, smaller time frames, we're clearing over it. It looks like we're back testing and finding support. So we may not get that dip down there, or we could get a liquidity sweep, a little bit of a shakeout, tap that and push higher. But that's definitely looking like a good buy the dip range. And as long as it holds, just, you know, hang on tight. It should push higher and most likely start testing some of these areas, some of these levels, I mean, up in the supply zone overhead. But yeah, the real key level that we were waiting for to flip, new trader, to go back to your question, was that 59.1625, that confluence with Neptune right there here on the hourly. Once we finally got through that, things have flipped and are starting to look a lot stronger, and it flew right through a lot of those kind of potential resistances I saw overhead, and seems to be trying to flip them to support now. So yeah, it's looking very strong at the moment as far as how the markets look. So with that being said, let's get to a few trade plan updates. We'll go through our member selected tickers one more time that we posted in the options watch list on Sunday evening in the Xtrades Discord community, and then we'll get to the trade plans that we did. We did Tesla and Netflix, not Oklo. I'm just looking at that because we've got a wheel going for it. But yeah, we did Netflix and Tesla on Tuesday's live stream, so we'll get to those as well. So NVIDIA has rallied since hitting some of these downside targets. Got very close to PT2. In fact, maybe I shot a little bit low on PT2 with how clean that support was there at, what was that? Let's see, I had it at 129.61, 130, so pretty close to PT2. But again, I may have just, in analyzing this and debating between one level or the other, I may have just shot a little too far to the downside, but still PT1 plus, so definitely should have been a win. A couple of opportunity, or at least one opportunity to enter after we talked about this on Tuesday's live stream with this breakdown below. Obviously we started down below, and this was kind of a no chase scenario as I talked about Tuesday with what we saw on the price action Monday there for NVIDIA. But then yesterday, along with the markets, NVIDIA has rallied and pushed really hard. It's working to try to flip this bearish flag back to the bullish side, caught below the 200 SMA here, and pre-market high, very close to tapping our 140.11 call entry to on the dot. So what I would say with NVIDIA from here is I like this, and I like it for a really nice continuation move, but let's wait for it to break over 140.11. There's still some headwinds. Gosh dang it, I keep accidentally tapping those buttons. We still have some resistances to get through. I would rather be patient in this part of the move and have better confirmation that we are opening more profit area to the upside versus trying to kind of preempt the move and wind up getting in when really we're kind of still up against a lot of resistance at this point. So 140.11 still the key level to break, but if we do get over that, I say from there, just execute the plan. You should be absolutely fine if and when that comes to fruition for NVIDIA. AMD, this one seems to be trying to flip things to the bullish side here on the hourly. We had that confluence right there with our call entry. It did gap up over that, but tap that 200 SMA. These are still bearish SMAs right now with the 333 above the 200. So they're kind of inverted, if you will, from the bullish pattern, which would have the 200 over the 333, and they're trending to the downside, right? So really clean rejection there. Off that SMA combo that's pulled us back down to this weekly support, it's trying to bounce off that, I should say. So again, I think this is another one where we just wait for the plan to go into effect while it's actionable during market hours. I would be very cognizant though. Again, we did this plan Sunday evening, so we had a lot more room to the upside before these hourly moving averages became a factor. They have gotten much closer to the call entry, so just keep an eye on those. And I would say, as we start to test things like the 200 or the 333, once you've taken an entry, if you take an entry, that would be a good opportunity to move your stops up kind of aggressively, and, just play it tight until we get over those SMAs. And what may happen is by the time we actually get a good break and that bigger move to the upside, these may drop down, right? Continue down this way, and somewhere here in the not too distant future, we would have a confluence where a break of 120.80 would simultaneously put us above those moving averages and have us pushing even higher in that type of a scenario. So keep that in mind for AMD. And then Amazon looking great. This one broke out to the upside yesterday after giving us a nice back test or test of support there off the stop loss average down Tuesday morning. Gave us that bounce from there and has pushed to PT1 since then. Certainly, I would recommend scaling out for profit as soon as we get to market open. We have tapped PT1 already sometimes. And again, this is the risk of options. We've talked about it so many times on these live streams. Sometimes the move and the plan plays out exactly the way we've drawn it up, but it plays out during the extended trading hour session. And so if that's happening and you're in options contracts, as you know, you're kind of locked in until the market opens. So just make sure that you're being mindful of that. Even if we're getting a pullback, that pullback could continue again with these trade plans. Obviously, we hope to get all of our price targets to the upside or the downside, but sometimes one is all you get. So we've already tapped PT1 on this Amazon trade plan after the breakout yesterday. It is flipping things bullish. It does look like it's trying to get this 333 to start acting as support. So could be a continuation here on Amazon, and certainly looks good to at least get to PT2 if it can break over 225.08. If you're not already in this, I would say that would be a good level to watch for a potential new entry. And then I would move your stops up down here to 221.99, where we've got that 200 SMA confluence with that level there on Amazon. All right. Let's get to our plans from Tuesday's live stream. One of those was Tesla. Tesla we talked about yesterday. You can't see it here because it's an anchored VWAP and it's anchored to today. But yesterday we had a member, Ollie, I think it was, who was in Tesla calls, was really concerned because we got this, what looked like a pretty good confirmed break and back test above, never got down and tested the stop loss. So again, just because we get a break above and back test and we've got a confirmed entry doesn't mean we directly move to the upside. But we did have yesterday VWAP right here giving support, and that was actually the perfect bounce entry opportunity. From there, Tesla pushed all the way for PT1 plus, but just like we talked about with Amazon a moment ago, now we're seeing PT1 act as key resistance here pre-market. So again, make sure you are scaling some out here on Tesla and moving up your stops because we have hit a price target. So that's the move, right? Just stick to the plan, be strategic. Don't sit there and assume that every Tesla trade is going to be a 10x return on your investment. And Tesla's some unstoppable force. It clearly can get hit and hit pretty hard and pretty rapidly when it does take a dip. Last but not least, Netflix, we did Tuesday pre-market, has not given us a confirmed break either way until this morning. It does look like it's breaking out, but from this point, I would certainly be waiting for a back test of the call entry there at 849.02. If we do get that back test, I say go for it and execute the plan. If we don't chase. It's a no trade at this point, in my opinion. We've eaten up a lot of that fair value gap up to PT1 and seem to be kind of interestingly struggling with 861.31, which I didn't expect to be a big factor on the way up to 868.85. But, it is what it is. Price action is rarely ever predictable. So let's get to some of these new trade plan requests. Let's go. I thank you guys again for being here. Said stocks will tokenize blockchain. Yeah, I mean, it's, Alex, you got a lot of really good points. I think crypto is going to be a very good space to have some exposure to on some level, whether you're holding actual crypto or buying crypto related stocks. I think there's a lot of opportunities for that to be a good long-term hold from this point forward. But time will tell. And again, it's also, I would say crypto of any type of currency is probably the most susceptible to some kind of a major catalyst rug pull that nobody sees coming. So just keep that in mind. I would say, with anything, as I would with anything, I meant to say, don't overexpose yourself to just, oh, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Navy Plum, thank you. I'm glad you said that. Don't overexpose yourself to any one particular area, in my opinion. All right, so let's take a look at SoundHound here. What went down with this? This looks like, yeah, that looked like a pretty good break to the downside. And we just didn't get continuation there. It's clearly invalidated that downside trade plan, rejected the kind of ping-ponged here between the 333 and the 200. And seems to be clearing over that 333 here pre-market, flipping things bullish and over that 1392, at least on the 15 minute. Let's take a look at the 30 real quick. That looks okay. Still under some selling pressure on the hourly, and probably also the 4 hours pretty, but yeah, a lot of room before we get into much trouble there. It is trying to flip this trend ribbon back to the bullish side though, so sound maybe a little bit of a fake out or liquidity sweep there. Yeah, a little disappointed that that didn't continue down lower after giving us that confirmed break to the downside, but does look, I would say this upside opportunity looks pretty good, and it does have a lot of room to make up. And you know, it's AI, right? AI is going to continue to be the hot topic. And I think, you know, one thing that came out of CES, in my opinion, for those who didn't really pay a lot of attention to the CES event recently, which was a, you know, kind of a potentially big catalyst for a lot of chip makers and tech stocks, NVIDIA, especially with Jensen given the keynote. I saw a lot of really interesting real world applications for AI. I think that is I think that's kind of always been the concern, right? Like, okay, everybody says AI is going to do all this stuff, but like, how long before it like actually comes into the real world, right? And has like physical products like, you know, Roombas and things like that are utilizing AI to increase or enhance their performance or capabilities. We saw a lot of that at CES. So I think there was some debate, like how far off was that going to be before AI, you know, the software starts to become a bigger part of what we can physically touch and interact with in reality. And that has already rapidly developed a lot quicker than I think anybody would have. Yeah. I saw that actually, Trading Dad. So that's something I'm getting ready to start playing around with and looking into. I've been building GPTs and been a premium Chat GPT OpenAI subscriber, gosh, for I don't know how long. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that is like kind of rapidly come to the surface. So I would say if you thought you missed the boat on AI and AI related stocks, I would say you missed the first run, but this could probably be another good opportunity to catch the next big move on AI. So Chris, you're not old until you go to bed and wake up with like a back spasm and you have no idea how it happened. Because that happened to me the other day. I'm like, fuck, I'm starting to feel 42. All right, so with that being said, yeah, oh yeah, dude, I if I have like a good sneeze, like I pop like at least in a good way. It's actually kind of a relief, but when I sneeze, like I get at least like 4 or 5 like pops in my vertebrae. Yeah, fortunately I don't have the bladder control issues yet. Trading Dad. Yeah, dude, I had to go get trigger point injections one time, but I also have like a actual neck injury, which is probably a big factor in that. And I'm just doing my best to avoid surgery. So anyway, sorry, we're totally getting off track there. So let's get to some of these trade plan requests. Yeah, I'm in my prime. All right, what do we have? We had Uber. I saw Chris come in bright and early with Uber, and Chris, you know, when we tag team something, it generally winds up being a great plan and a lot of profit. So let's get to Uber. Let's get some coffee in as well. And let's go. All right, let's see. Yeah, Uber over 60. Yeah, I see what you're saying. This was a call entry trade plan level that it's been rejecting for a while and is now over it. And looks like it's getting some additional support to come in underneath there, adding some confluence. Just barely. See, this is one thing that I feel like I need to make some like very minor tweaks on Neptune. This doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And I need to mark this down to take a look at it as one of my examples to try to remedy, but I feel like this bear flag is probably still in place. It did just barely enough. So it's like I think it's something I've got to do with the volatility settings of the moving average that calculate these flags. But I'll get that sorted out. I digress. All right, so let's see what we want to do with Uber from here. But I agree, Chris, this is over a previous trade plan call entry level. So I think over 67, it does look pretty bullish. Let's clean up this chart real quick, though. Let's go. Let's dig in. All right. Yeah, 200 crossing back above the 333 here on the hourly. That's a good look. Yeah, I was kind of looking at this already. Did see this nice bounce trigger off this level. And it was very quick little doji continuation down below, rejection off this level, and this move down. So I think we need to bump up that call entry a little bit to 67.80 from what I had on the plan previously. I think we'd be remiss to not take some profits at 69.40. I think there's a bigger move over it. Well, not huge, actually. That ate up some of that move I was looking for. Up to 70.77. There we go. And then, yeah, I would say ultimately 72.27. I mean, it's kind of laid out right there for us the way it's set up there. So I like those levels as price targets. One thing I want to take a look at here is where is a sensible stop loss average down. I'm really interested in this 66.51, even though I don't have it as a level yet. On this hourly chart, I already see a lot of support and resistance factors playing out here recently, but let's scroll through. I just want to see if I can get some more confirmation on that level before we go, assuming any risk with that as part of a plan. So I'm debating here. It's either 67.37 or 67.37 or that. What am I looking at? No, I got my levels wrong there. I'm sorry. It's either 66.51 or 65.88. Sorry, those levels are, these labels on the price axis were bunched up, and I was. Yeah, I think we should keep it a little tight. Hopefully that won't be the difference in getting shook out or the plan staying valid. But I like how it keeps the risk reward a little bit more favorable there. We could see a liquidity sweep, and it's still ultimately down to test that 65.88, and it still ultimately holds 66.51. So I'm going to stick with kind of my gut on this one, even though I think we could maybe give it a little bit more room. I think 66.51 is a sensible stop loss average down. So let's figure out where the downside gets interesting. This is probably going to be the best indicator of where that becomes. Yeah, I think there's a level here. I don't have it marked yet. I've not done a ton of Uber plans or analysis, kind of mostly as by request, but probably one I should be paying more attention to. It does have good price action. And that's an interesting bounce there. Yeah, key rejection there. So again, I think another level I just didn't have marked yet, or that has developed since the last time I looked at this chart for Uber. Below 63.96, there's a potential really tight PT2 right here. I mean, I kind of debated between PT1, and I'm going to go more conservative between 63.96 and 63.43. But second price target, I like this. Whoa, why did I go this way with doing that? There we go. 62.58, I think, makes a lot of sense as a second price target. Third price target, yeah, I'd have right about here at 61.38. And we'll share a stop loss average down with the upside trade plan. One thing I'm going to double check here So our risk reward on the short position, I'm guessing it's probably about a 1-to-1. Yeah, right on it. So just keep that in mind. That's definitely, if you've been on these live streams before, you know what I'm going to advise, which is start small and scale in. If you have kind of a even risk reward going into that first price target, like we said at the beginning of the live stream, sometimes PT1's all you get. Upside looks better, 1.2. I didn't think it was dramatically better, but it's better. So these are our, I should say, Uber live stream plans. Let's go. All right, so what are we looking for here on Uber? We're looking for a break over 67.80. That should give us targets at 69.40, 70, 77, and 72.27 with a stop loss average down at 66.51. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 65.22. That should give us targets at 63.96. 62.58 and 60.93, sharing a stop loss average down there at 66.51 with the upside trade plan. Those are your Uber live stream plans. Let's go. All right, let's see. YouTube, no ticker requests so far. You guys, if you have a ticker you want me to take a look at, better drop it soon. Otherwise, Discord's going to get all the live stream plans this morning. Live stream froze for a second. All good? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, technical difficulties, bro. All right. Yeah, daily spy plan, Tony. That is the best advice I can give you. Yeah, acupuncture trading dad. I do dry needling. That's really good, which is kind of like acupuncture on steroids. They go a little bit deeper and they probe. You probably have done it before. And then recently, when I go in for dry needling in certain spots, they've also been doing the dry needle with stem, where they essentially do the dry needling, they hit your trigger point, and then they attach the stem unit to it and let it activate on top of that. Super good stuff. Feels amazing. All right. So let's see. Qubits, RGTI, IonQ, all the quantum names for trading dad. Let's take a look at some of those. We quickly took an opportunity to sell some puts on Rigetti yesterday and covered them very quickly just because we were running up against this 1124 key level from the last Rigetti trade plan we did. But this one, of those names that you mentioned, trading dad, seems to be the one that moves the most. So I've been kind of looking for another pullback somewhere down in this range to maybe go short on puts again. But other folks might say go long on calls, whatever it is. But yeah, love dry needling. People are like, oh, that sounds so awful. And it's like, man, once you've done it, there ain't no going back. All right. We do have a level here that I hadn't marked yet. That's okay because we were a little bit more focused on higher targets, higher price action at that time. Actually, let me adjust that down a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, so of the quantum names, let's take a look at Rigetti. I want to be too eager to jump at this thing, but at the same time, I also don't want to get caught chasing. So it's it's a fine line with these high volatility tickers when they're kind of going through this period of intense volatility. But when I looked at the options chain and I was like, man, I can get more than 10% ROI on the money I put up on those. I think, what did we sell, the 750 puts or something like that? I think we're collecting like over $1 premium potentially if we let it ride all the way out. That's kind of hard to pass up, and I just go with selling the puts versus buying the calls. But again, I'm looking for another dip to sell puts, or maybe even just load shares and buy right, because the IV on this is like 300%. So in a way, That's another reason why I shy away from buying options on tickers like this. And this is a good, quick kind of like pro tip for those of you who are newer to this. If you're dealing with a more volatile ticker, like we see with Rigetti right now, Tesla's a really good one to keep in mind as well. They live in a world of inflated implied volatility. So what does that mean? That means that if the implied volatility, or IV, is one of the factors that gets calculated into how much your options contracts cost, how much premium they hold, so therefore how much it costs to actually enter a trade if you're buying calls, for example, or puts if you're going long on options, either direction. Where that becomes a problem or a potential issue, in my opinion, is if that volatility calms down or VIX drops or something like that. You can get moves that are moving in your favor, and ultimately your options contracts aren't really benefiting from those moves because that IV is kind of getting sucked away, right? So you're making some progress, but it's kind of like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom, right? Yeah, if you pour water in fast enough, and that's really options contracts in general, if you take theta into the mix as well. And gosh, I just probably came up with one of the better analogies I've ever had now that I think about it. Options in general, but especially ones with high IV, I would say the hole's a little bit bigger in the bottom of the bucket if it's a high IV ticker. You know, if you pour enough water in fast enough, yeah, you can fill that bucket because you're putting, you know, you're putting in more than is able to flow out from the bottom. But with implied volatility tickers, you know, that hole's a lot bigger, and if that implied volatility drops for any reason whatsoever, that starts to really offset or force you to require more speed or a stronger move in your favor to offset the loss in the premiums from the implied volatility dropping for whatever reason. So anyway, that's why I like to sell contracts, A, in general, but B, especially on high volatility tickers. So with that being said, let's figure out what we're going to do with Rigetti. I feel like every time I say it, I have to say it with a really shitty Italian accent. All right. It's hard to resist, right? Ringleman. All right, let's see. Actually, no, what I'm thinking here is like ultimate patience on this trade. I know it's gonna seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it is what it is. We could also maybe give it a little bit more room. Actually, let's not set this in stone just yet. Actually, what I'm thinking is we move this, what was PT2 for puts, to being an entry for calls that we really do need to get over. I think that then opens up the room that we need for a decent trade to the upside from 1271 to 1429. Stop loss average down is the question. 1271, 1182, 1124. I'm going to keep it tight on a especially on a highly volatile ticker. I'd say 1182 we'll use as a stop loss. You could give it a little bit more room to 1124 if you want. That's not what I'm going to put into the plan, but if you're watching and paying attention and you want to go with giving this slightly more room, obviously I would say that also means buy more time on your contracts. Go for it. But the plan is going to call for that tighter stop loss. All right. I like that with that small adjustment as PT2 for calls. PT3, I think, could actually stretch. Try to make it up to this 1751 target. Let's get rid of these. Let's clean this up real quick. All right, so yeah, pretty tight little window of opportunity there, or risk window, I should say. But again, I think that that's very appropriate given how this thing moves. Downside. But we're getting the pullback that we wanted, right? I'm glad we took those short puts off, and now we might be able to sell some more on another test of key support. So, well played, JTW. The other thing that I'm going for, in case you guys haven't noticed, if you go to the Tier Pro for alerts, another thing I'm trying to kind of show folks with focusing mostly, I've got a couple of long options trades in this streak, but for the most part, it's been shorting options, and it's been very intentional that I've focused on that. What I'm trying to get to, and I think we're very close to doing it, is a 50 win streak. I think yesterday we hit 48, so we're only 2 wins away on our alerts for buying shares and shorting options. So while it may not have the emotional peaks and valleys of going long on options, and may not have the larger, more immediate returns, that's kind of all characteristics of greed kind of being the mindset a little bit. And I would say, option sellers are, we're trying to maximize what we can pull out of the market while still being very strategic and smart about it. So I would say, option sellers are pigs, and options buyers are hogs, right? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. So not saying that you can't go long on options. I do very well on the long side of options. But point being, shorting options for me is 100% in the background, right? I don't have to babysit those trades. I don't have to worry about stop losses too much or anything like that, because pretty much no matter what, I've got an out, I've got a path forward if the trade doesn't work out exactly the way I want it to. So anyway, once we hit that 50 win streak, I'll start posting more long options trades. I mean, I've been posting some. There are several in that win streak, but point being, that consistent growth versus having those, it's more of like just a direct diagonal line angled to the upside versus these big spikes and then dips and spikes and dips, which, if you drew a line through all that, would probably wind up putting you in pretty much the same place as selling options, but with a lot less stress, and something that you could do totally in the background while you're also proactively trading options. So yeah, it is, multiple streams of revenue from the market, right? You can sell options and use that premium to buy options. There's all kinds of smart money moves you can make if you know how to do that stuff. And yeah, I'm happy to get into that at some point. I think that would be a drive on cruise, but a new trader knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like having true self-driving for your account, FSD for your account. All right, so let's go. Here is the Rigetti live stream plans. Covered calls, cash secured puts, the wheel, all the above. And just as a heads up, I'm going to start posting these, and I think I'm also going to start posting the SPY plans in the Elite Xtrades chat. I think that that's a little bit more, like, I feel like what the goal of the Elite chat is to have that be a place for like plans and plan updates and stuff like that, and have it be very technical and strategic and well defined, versus like, I feel like watch list is a little bit more free form. That's something that we're talking about amongst the top earners, but for now I'm going to start gravitating toward that, and I'll do some announcements about, I won't move it right away, and I'll give folks plenty of notice about possibly shifting the SPY plan to being posted in the Elite chat versus the watch lists. So anyway, let's talk about these Rigetti trade plans. We're looking for a break, excuse me, over 1271 to take this for the upside, to the upside, with targets at 1429, 1585, and 1751, with the stop loss average down at 1182. To the downside, we're waiting for a break below at 994. That should give us targets at 843, 725, and 591, with a stop loss average down at 1076. Those are your Rigetti trade plans. All right, let's take a quick look. We got a couple of requests from the YouTube crowd. Finally, SMCI and Coin. Let's see if we can't take a quick look at those. If I have like a plan that just totally jumps out at me, I'll go ahead and post it, but at the very least I'll give you my quick thoughts on it. So SMCI, super microcomputer. Yeah, I'd like to see it. What I would be looking for to play this continuation is a break over 33.88. I'll give you like a quick upside trade plan on it for Conda, Gconda, over on the YouTube side of things. We could probably give that a little bit more room, actually. Take that back on that stop loss. It's a little tight. I think it's looking more like probably somewhere, it's very close, somewhere in this 32.42 neck of the woods. I think that does bring a first target right here at 35.93. I also like this 29.91 as a buy the dip level, by the way, if we ever get down and test that. If you want to start to build like an equity position that you can eventually sell covered calls against, is kind of what I would think. On SMCI, 29.91 looks like a good level to start loading some shares, and you might have to hold through some chaos or whatever, but SMCI is making a pretty good comeback after having some issues there with the maintaining their listing and all that sort of stuff. But they fought through it. They got it figured out. 37.71 over that, and then 39.77. So quick upside trade plan. So I've got enough time to go put the daily SPY plan together and try to get it posted before 9:30. Again, today that will post in the options watch list in the Xtrades Discord community. If you folks on YouTube haven't given it a shot yet, come check us out. Free trials, all that good stuff. Chris the man is there to help make sure that you get all that you need to get from your Xtrades membership. He is one of our most valuable team members. He's an MVP. All right, so here is the SMCI live stream plans. Sharing with you guys on YouTube. Oh, you're very welcome, man. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. All right, so this is a quick upside only trade plan. Guess, oh god, yeah, don't combine those and make it trade. That's not good. That's gonna throw people off. So what are we looking for on SMCI for continuation to the upside? Again, don't forget I also like buying the dip off of 29.91. But what are we looking for here on SMCI? We're looking for a break over 33.88. So a little bit of patience required on this one, but I think that's really when the window of opportunity becomes big enough compared to the window of risk that it makes sense to try to go long from there. So from 33.88, we'd be looking at targets at 35.93, 37.71, and 39.77 with a stop loss averaged out at 32.42. Those are your SMCI trade plans. This is your Xtrades FOMO live stream for Thursday, January the 16th. Again, my utmost apologies to folks on the YouTube side of things for the snafu Tuesday. That won't happen again. And with that, as we always say here on the Xtrades FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans. That is a 007 saying that I absolutely love and have adopted. And also keep your wins big, keep your losses small, right? That keeps the account overall heading in the right direction, even if you are taking a hit every once in a while. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions and you're in the Xtrades Discord, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help at any time. Thank you so much for taking some time to join me this morning. I hope you guys get some benefit from it. I hope you're learning every time we do these. And not only are you learning, but hopefully you're walking away with some really solid trade plans to go make some money with. I've given you everything you need to do. Now it's up to you to execute, set alerts on your charts, do everything you can to make sure that you are not missing these opportunities, because everything you need to know is right here for you, ready to go. So with that being said, I will see you guys back here on, don't forget tomorrow's live stream, shameless plug for Chris. He does a great job with those, kind of like getting the most out of your Xtrades user experience live streams. Those are fantastic. I'll even jump in on those every once in a while and just, cause a little chaos, maybe share a couple of nuggets of wisdom. But overall, I don't want to disrupt what Chris and his team have going on those Friday live streams, but they are awesome. So make sure that you check those out, especially if you're a new Xtrades member. You will learn a ton from Chris on those live streams about how to make the most of your Xtrades membership. So with that being said, again, thank you everybody for joining me this morning. We will be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I wish you all the best. Good luck with your trading today, and I will see you all Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Have a great day.